Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Now our first flight was, let's call it a little rough, but we're not giving up on this sim. I think there's a wealth to be had here. Hold on. Coughing in your face already. I think that in the long run this sim's going to be probably amazing. Visually it already is. So all complaints aside for the moment, I can't promise no ranting in this video, but I can say a few things. First of all, I finally got my ATC window to work. Now I appreciate all of you who went onto the comments section and said you need to do this or you need to do that. The problem was the little ATC option in the settings cog. So when you're in sim, and I'll show you when we get in there, when you're in the sim, you get that little drop down menu up top, okay, and if you go all the way to the right, there's the little settings wheel, and if you click on that, then you've got the option to choose what shows up there. And a lot of you brought this up. There's a little button. You click on the little button and it pops up a little ATC tower, and that's how you access your ATC window. That was grayed out for me. I couldn't click on it no matter what I did. Now I've sent a request ticket into Microsoft and everything. Here's the deal. In the end, on a Microsoft Flight Simulator forum, and I want to make sure I give this guy credit, so I hope he doesn't mind me using his username on here, AVD Hyde. I'm not sure what that stands for, but AVD Hyde had put a comment on there that said you need to go into the, I think it's accessibility or something like that. One of the 3 settings options, and I'll pop that up real quick when we get in sim as well. You need to go in there and you need to set it to all assists on, start a flight, make sure your ATC window pops up, which it did finally, and then go back in there and change it to the settings that you want, and then restart the flight and make sure that your ATC window is still available. And that's what I did, and it worked. Okay, now as far as I know, this individual is not, hold on, be coughing in your face a lot today, my allergies are acting up. I don't know if this individual is with Microsoft or not. One of the moderators on the forum, I want to give credit where credit is due. He made a couple of suggestions. They didn't work out, but he was at least trying to help, and I appreciate that as well. Microsoft directly, as far as I know, hasn't done anything to help with it, and it was very frustrating to me. But I did get it. It's finally working. Okay, now I don't know how to use the ground options. All I see are air traffic control options, so it could just be because I've been testing it in Sedona where you know, it's minimal control or whatever. I don't know. Either way, we'll figure that out as we go along. So that's a huge frustration that's gone for me finally. And I think that's it for now. Again, I'm sure I'll have some issues, but we're going to be flying in our Cessna Citation Longitude today, which I flew with my friend Joe yesterday. We did a little hurricane hunting, and I recorded it all the way up until the point where it froze, and I mean it completely froze up, and I even recorded it being frozen for several minutes before I finally shut it down. I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm going to post that. It was never planned to be a video. It was just flying with a friend of mine. So if you're paying attention to this portion of the video, here's what I need from you. It's not a planned video. There's no editing to it or anything. It just starts with us taxiing and then it ends with my sim frozen. But we did find the eye of the hurricane, and we were able to find the inner wall of the hurricane, and it was really cool. And it also highlights how well the multiplayer function works on this sim. If you want to see that as a video, you must comment down below that yes, we would like to see the hurricane hunting video. Otherwise, I'm not going to even bother posting it. So if I get enough comments down there, and I don't know what enough is yet, but it's going to have to be quite a few because it's very, very rough, and I like to keep my videos nice and cleaned up and looking as good as possible. Okay, so if I get enough comments down there, then we will post that as a video just for your viewing pleasure. Alright, enough about that. Let's talk about our flight today, and the reason we're starting on this screen rather than starting in the sim is because I want to go over a little bit of flight planning with you really quickly. First, let's take a look at our actual flight plan. There we are, Sim Toolkit Pro, all the way up on version 0.6.21. Improvements continue to be made to this amazing product that is absolutely free. So if you haven't checked it out already, just go on Google and type in Sim Toolkit Pro, all one word, just like you see up here in the top left hand corner. Download it for free, install it, it runs like a champ. There we go. And we're going to be continuing to use this for years to come. Okay. Now, I'm not positive on the aircraft. I don't think that the Longitude is a C550, and I have to confess I didn't spend a lot of time researching it. That's on me, but I may change that. I may do this aircraft's pretty easy to fly. In fact, having flown it around a little bit in the sim, it's quite good. Coughing in your face again. Substantially better than the 787. So I'm looking forward to doing several flights in this actually, and I'm going to start a bit of a series here, and we'll get into that here shortly, so I hope you're paying attention to the whole video. Alright, moving on. So assuming that this is not correct, we're going to up the fuel because we just need to up the fuel. We're going to be smart about it. But our planned trip fuel, if it was a Cessna 550, which again I'm not sure that it is, would be 1,723 pounds. This thing doesn't even hold that much, as far as I know. Like, not even close. I don't know. It's listed in gallons, so you'd have to divide that by 6. I don't normally do stuff like that. I didn't think about it until just now. I'm pulling up a calculator on my phone really quick. So 1723 divided by 6, because it's about 6 pounds per gallon. It's 287 gallons, so it does hold that much. So 1,723 pounds, final reserves 585 pounds, block fuel 4,350 pounds. Let me pull up my calculator again. Like I said, we're going to add some extra fuel anyway, but 4,350 pounds. Why is it listed in gallons? I wonder if it's like that on the real aircraft. Divided by 6, 725 gallons. I'm not sure if it holds that much or not. This aircraft is supposed to have like a 3,000 mile range. I don't know about that, because this flight's 300 miles, and if that's 725 gallons, and I'm not sure how much this thing holds. We're probably gonna just top off the tanks. I don't know, we'll see. We're departing Sedona, so it's hard to say. Anyway, let's move on down here a little bit. Packs, 5 packs on board. Payload's 100 pounds, 0 fuel weight, 9.4 fuel, and then takeoff weight. So max takeoff weight is 13.3, and that's what we're at. And then landing weight's just about 1,000 pounds shy of max landing weight. And we're going to be landing in Telluride. Okay, so it's going to be all kinds of fun. Should be interesting, especially since I have very little experience flying this aircraft. Now, here's what I want to do. Let's talk flight planning for a minute. So I did my flight plan through SimBrief as I normally would, and if you go into the sim here, you can see that it's got the departure in there. There's only one departure out of Sedona anyway, and it's the Oats 1 departure, which we'll be flying, and that's Fenton, Hemet, Zabas, and then Oats. I added Flagstaff, but here's the trick. It's how you add it that's interesting. So you need to highlight your last waypoint. Okay, you got to zoom down here, and you need to highlight it. So there's Flagstaff, right? If I don't have that highlighted, let's just say, just so that you can see it, let's say I highlight Zabas. Our next waypoint after, it's not ETL, that's later on, after Oats is Flagstaff. Okay, so if I go FLG here, okay, because this is the easiest way to find them, and then I click on it, it's going to zoom out, zoom back in, and then there's FLG, right? And oh wait, I didn't take it out, did I? My bad. I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm going to leave that one in there. Let me go to the next one. So I'm highlighted on Zabas, and then after FLG is TBC. TBC. Now on this one, I happen to know from experience that it's the bottom one. If you click on this one, you're going to be on the other side of the planet. So click on it, it zooms in. Now, if I want to add this, watch what happens. Oh, it didn't do it this time. It was giving me fits earlier where if I was highlighted on a different waypoint. Let's try it this way. Let's go flag. We're highlighted on flag. It might just be because this was the departure. After TBC is DVC. Let's see if it does it this time. There's DVC. Now if I add that, nope, it didn't do it that time either. So I have no idea why it was doing it. For some reason it kept sticking a waypoint in between Hemet and Zabas, and I have no idea why. But you can see what I'm doing here. It's pretty straightforward. You just search your waypoint. So after DVC is ETL, right? Now you could look for it. They're all out there if you have that option turned on. Open filters, go down here, make sure NavAids is turned on, and you can find them. But you got to zoom way in to find these things, and then you got to highlight it, right? So it's just a lot easier to search it right here. So ETL is next, right? Yeah. ETL. So type that in there, come down here, there it is as a waypoint. That's the one I want. Add that in, bam, there we go. And so that's our whole flight plan there. It's as simple as that. Oh, excuse me. And that's it. So that's what you got to do for your flight planning. Now let's be clear on this. This is a very short flight, and the options were I could have gone VOR to VOR and it might have chosen those. I chose high altitude airways. That's just what I chose. Oh, it just removed them, didn't it? Oh, you son of a biscuit. Let's see what it does if I go VOR to VOR. There we go. So then it goes flag, TBC, CEZ, and then KTEX. So it's not the same ones that I had in there. It's a different flight. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to put in our flight plan again from... come on, brain. Sorry, my allergies are bad this morning. Somebody's counting the coughs already, I guarantee it. I'm going to put in our flight plan from SimBrief. I'm going to click fly, and then before it loads in, I'm going to come back on so you guys can see the little cinematic loading, which I think is pretty cool. Note that we're not going to be going in our runway 21. So you can choose this. That's one way to do it. One thing I really like about this sim, zoom way in to the airfield here. Okay, and it shows where we're at right there, right? So let me just let me put this as departure for a moment just to get that out of the way, so when I zoom in I can see the airfield. All right, so we can choose our departure, right? And if I put well, I'm not going to change that up. I don't want that either. What is this? No, we don't want to custom anything. Come on, stop. Add. I already added it. What are you doing? I'm gonna have to redo this whole thing. Anyway, what I like is that you can zoom in here pretty close, and then you can choose, like if I want to go ramp 9 parking, I can say that's my departure point there, and then I'll put together the rest of the flight plan the same way that I did before. So I'll be back briefly, and then we'll carry on with our flight. Alrighty folks, I've got live weather and live traffic turned on. The sim's a little choppy at times. I've turned off my frame rate counter, and part of the reason I turned that off is because if I pop up that window on the other screen, it come on brain, work. It leaves the little number counter off to the side. Why is the airplane parked like that? That's interesting. Must just because of the size. But you see, we get some interesting information here. It says the endurance is 7 hours, 3,500 nautical miles. I don't know about that. We burned a lot of fuel hurricane hunting. Here's our Sedona weather information, and we can of course pull that up as well. And then I don't know if you've noticed, but the tail number on this aircraft is Captain Mac, because you're able to customize your tail number. So you can just see it up there, and I'll show it to you when we hop into the sim. But yeah, so there you have it. Let's go ahead and hop in, ready to fly here. And if you load onto the ramp, it's going to load cold and dark every time. All right, I have gotten to the point where I can adjust my views a little bit, which is nice. There's my ATC little tower there, right? Now look, here's the deal. This little button here was grayed out. I was not able to select it. That was the problem. All right, and I explained the fix to you already, and I'll just show you here real quick. Now I did this in sim. Go to assistance, and then up top here, change this to all assists. That's what you want to change it to. Okay. But do that out of the sim. Don't do that from the main menu, not from inside the sim. Change it to all assists, load a flight. Okay, this is if you're having the same problem I was. Now it's interesting, everybody on that forum who had the same problem as me had the same interesting experience. They have more than one account, okay, for the Xbox, I think it's your Xbox Live account or whatever. And when they initially loaded and installed the sim, it installed from a different account, which is what happened with me as well. It installed from a different account, and I didn't have my premium content. And I was like, what the heck? And I started looking into it, and I realized it installed from the wrong account. So I switched accounts and went back to the install, and it just did an update which added the premium content. But something in that exact scenario is what caused that to happen. Now, if your scenario is different but you don't have your ATC window, while you're on the main menu, go to Assistance. Up here where it says Custom, just select All Assists. Just click the... I'm not going to do it because I don't want to have to go back in here and change everything, right? Select All Assists, load a flight. Make sure, once you load the flight, that you have this guy, or that you can at least turn it on over here, okay? Make sure it's on over here, and then make sure it shows up here so you have your ATC window, okay, which I'm going to pop up right now and move to the other screen. All right, then turn the sim off, go back to the main, or just go back to the main menu, and then set your settings how you want them, and then come back in and you should have it. All right, that was the fix, and it was frustrating, but it's finally fixed. Now, if you load on the ramp, you are going to load cold and dark every single time. That's the way it is, and I don't mind that at all. Typically, though, I will start my flights, as you know, with power already on the aircraft. Now, it is a little different when we're talking about these private aircraft, okay? Typically, the pilots will do everything. There's not somebody from the company going out there. There's not an engineer or a flight engineer or a ground crew or anything like that to put power on the aircraft. So this is probably how you would receive it anyway. Now, this aircraft, super simple to fly. This is not a full flight tutorial, but it's probably going to act a lot like one. So what the heck? Let's just go with it, right? While I'm thinking about it, because I know I'll forget, so real quick. The way I want to run this series, I'm going to fly from here to Telluride. A difficult departure and a difficult landing. All right, and then I'd like to continue in this aircraft for a while. So what I want from you guys in the comments down below is I want you to tell me a destination from Telluride. Now, what I'd like to not do in this series is go to all these big major airfields. That's what I want to avoid. That we go to those in airliners all the time. I can fly into Vegas or Denver or LA anytime, and when we get some better aircraft on here, we're going to get a great look at those airfields. What I'd really like to do is have some relatively short flights to some of the more obscure airfields, maybe some with some difficult approaches and short runways, and see some stuff that we wouldn't otherwise probably see. That's the goal with this series, and I'm going to count on you guys to go in the comments section after each flight. The departure must be the last airport we landed at, and I want you to give me a new destination from there, something that's going to surprise everybody, something that's going to, you know, be different. That's what I want. Coughing in your face some more. So that's what I'm going to ask for from you guys. Now, this aircraft is actually really, really simple to operate. Hop down here first. That's Control 7. All right, and you can see external power is available. Just click on that. Click on your batteries and your bus tie. Bam. She's just like that. I've got power on the aircraft. Okay, and you should see a little truck out here, but it doesn't look like it. Last time there was a little truck out here. And that's how we get our external power on the aircraft. Now, while we have that, let's hop down here. This isn't an FMC per se, but it is a very, very useful tool. Now, because we took our time to set up our flight plan in the flight planner, you would think it would be in here. It's not. It's just not. So add the origin. I thought it would be in here too. I thought it was going to be in here. Well, that's why I did all of that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even bothered. Let me see. So type in your origin, KSEZ. Let me get rid of that for a minute because I'm going to need my flight plan. Okay. And then, what's it doing? What are you doing? Oh, it's like trying to do a... Interesting. It was trying to load that. Did you see that? It was trying to load the flight plan. That was interesting. So let's remove this for a minute. Let's try one more time. That was weird. It was trying to load the flight plan. Enter. Let's add our destination, which is KTEX. I must have messed something up, or it's just being buggy. Enter. All right. So right now it's showing us going direct. All right. Now for departures, we need to go back here to procedures, go departure, and then it's OTS 1. Select, and then are we runway? We're supposed to be runway 3. I'll tell you what. Here's what we'll do. Let's listen to the ATIS and see what it says for the wind. Automated weather.
Kilo Sierra Echo Zulu automated weather observation 1400 Zulu. Wind 214 at 5. Visibility tree. Sky condition. Few clouds at 1,100
Winds
feet.
214.
Few clouds at 4,000 feet.
Okay.
Few clouds at 11,800.
Oh, there's ground services.
Temperature.
I didn't see that before.
Dew point 10C altimeter 29992. Kilo Sierra Echo Zulu automated weather. Kilo
Where'd it
Sierra
go?
Echo Zulu.
Oh, it's gone now. Why'd my ground services go away? Well, that stinks. Is there a ground control frequency here? Let me see real quick. Let me pull up my Navigraph over here. No, it's just a Unicom. So that was it was there before and it's gone now. Okay. Let me close that out for the moment. That's fine. Let's carry on. So it's going to be runway 21 for us. So load it. There it is. OTS 1. Go back. Nope. Go home. Go to our flight plan, and there you see there's OTS 1. So that I don't know what USR is. I think it's user. Fenton Hemet Zabas. That's one thing I dislike because I've got the scroll on the mouse wheel, and you can't scroll it like by. Oh, you can go up and down this way though. So let's use that. Okay, so out to OTS. Now it's got us at 5230 at OTS. That would be a bad idea, I would think. Altitude wise, but it doesn't, as far as I know, this aircraft doesn't VNAV very well. Okay, let's press on for now. Okay, so from OTS, let's add an en route waypoint, and we need, it's going to be Flagstaff VOR FLG. So we're going to enter that. It's going to be the one that's 19 nautical miles away, not the one that's 6,339 nautical miles away. So we'll put that in there. And then add another en route waypoint, and it's going to be TBC. I love that it shows the distance to those enters, because this is going to be 80 miles. Makes sense. 4,000 doesn't. I told you it was on the other side of the planet. Well, not quite, but so add that one in there. So you see after OTS, then Flagstaff TBC. This is the en route portion, right? Okay. Add another en route waypoint after TBC is DVC. You guys get the deal here, right? DVC, and then after that is ETL. Enter, and then that takes us to our destination. There is no arrival for KTEX. Alright, so if you were to go to procedures, arrival, there is none. Alright, go back. There is approaches. There are several approaches, and if you, let's see, approach options. That's not giving me one. We'll figure that out. Okay, let's go home. Alright, that takes care of that. The weather radar does work on this. We probably won't use it in this one. And then you can go into, that's the map for this guy right here. Alright, you can zoom in and out on that using this knob right here and stuff like that. We're not getting all crazy here. This is not a full flight tutorial. We're just trying to have some fun with this. So now we have our flight plan in there. Let's look at our fuel real quick. Yeah, anytime I switch screens without clicking on it and then use the zoom wheel, that's what happens. I might have to take away the zoom from the mouse. So block fuel is supposed to be 4350 in pounds. What did we say that was? It was 725 gallons, right? So fuel, okay, let's just do it this way. So 1440 and 1440, that's not even close. What is we need to divide by 2 here. So 4350 divided by 2 is going to be, I'm not going to do that math in my head. I could do part of it, but not all of it. Let's try this. There's my calculator. Look at that. 4350 divided by 2 is 2,175 aside. I'm going to go an even 3,000 aside if it'll let me. It's not going to let me. Look. So this can't possibly be the right aircraft, a C-550. I'm sure it's not. One of you probably already was like, you're out of your freaking mind. But our max fuel is 5,762 pounds, and this is supposed to have a 3,500 nautical mile range. So I don't know how I feel about the fuel, but I'm going to go, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to 70%, all right, and I just want to see... I want to see how it goes. That's really what it comes down to. We can put the passengers at 170. We're supposed to have 5 packs, right? So, oh, I don't. That's 1,700. 170 on all the packs. Pilot and co-pilot 170, 170. Max takeoff weight is 39.5. We're at 35.3. So it's definitely not the right aircraft. Maybe you guys could tell me. Is there a profile on SimBrief that is applicable to this airplane? If you guys know, let me know. Okay, but there's our fuel. Now, you can also request fuel, request refueling. We're not going to do that. Now, I don't know if you guys can see it. I can, but runway 21 is going to be off to our left. All right. We got power on the aircraft. We've got our flight plan done. I'm going to break away for just a second. It's for editing purposes. I'm going to come back on, and then we're going to take a look at our departure briefing, our taxi and departure. All right, there's an internal checklist with this that I'll show you here in a minute. I tried to find an actual checklist for this aircraft. I just couldn't find one online. It was very frustrating trying to look for one. I looked for almost an hour and couldn't find one. So if you know where there's a checklist for this Cessna Longitude, let me know, and that'll help us with our procedures a little bit more. But for now, let's take a look at our taxi and our departure. All right, so our AWOS, that's our weather, is going to be on 18.525. We can tune that ourselves, or we're just going to use our ATC window. I prefer that. CTAF is on 23.0. That means there's no tower here, which is really surprising considering this airport. It's actually a pretty dangerous airport. Phoenix departure on 26.375. Now we're going to be located right, we should be right down here on the end. I'm not positive. But this is where we should be, is right on the end of this portion of the ramp. So the taxi is pretty simple and obvious. It's out here onto Alpha, down to Alpha 1 to hold shorter runway 21. There's some additional runway information here. We don't really need it for our departure. And then runway 21 is the OATS RNAV departure, which we're going to look at now. And there it is. So Phoenix departure, again, 26.375. Airport elevation is 4,830 feet. Now it is summertime, which means it's quite hot out. I have live weather on, but if I recall, the weather didn't do anything. It was well, what am I saying here? It's not that the weather didn't do anything. It was 2992. There's an issue with the weather. Okay, there's definitely it's a known issue for the sim. There's an issue with the weather, so let's just leave it at that. We'll listen to the ATIS again, or the AWOS again, before we go. Transition altitude 18,000 feet. Communications with ATC is unreliable below 10,000 feet, and that has to do with the mountainous terrain around us. So you can see it's out straight out to Fenton and then out to Hemet. I have no idea why we would stay at 5,000 feet here. We won't. We're just going to climb straight out anyway. And then over to Zabas and then out to Oates, and then we'll be on course from there. It does require takeoff minimums for runway 21. It's standard or lower than standard if authorized, and this is your standard takeoff minimums right here. So for 2-engine, it's a minimum visual reference of a 1/4 nautical mile, and that's adequate visual reference. And then it looks like standard is 1 nautical mile for 1 or 2 engines. So there are obstacles off from runway 21. Trees beginning 1,642 feet from the departure end of the runway, 240 feet right of the center line, up to 100 feet above ground level, or 4,786 feet MSL. A bush 147 feet from the departure end of the runway, 202 feet left of the center line, 5 feet above ground level, 4,740 feet MSL. For us, this isn't going to be a problem. We got a lot of power in this aircraft, but if you're flying like a small Cessna or something, especially on a really hot day, you're going to have a hard time getting off the ground here. Density altitude is definitely a problem here. So, and then it's just got our text version of the departure. So that takes care of your taxi and departure briefings. All right. Before we dive in any further, real quick, the internal checklist, not too shabby. It's only got the 2 options though, okay? So if we take a look here, parking brake set. One cool thing about this is you can click on the little eyeball here and see how it does that. The only downside is you have to choose one of your default views to get off of it. Otherwise it leaves it highlighted. Well, it's still highlighted. Let's see what happens if we check that item off. So if you hit tick item, there you go, and see it left it on for whatever reason, which is oh, okay. Click the eyeball again and it goes off. Fantastic. Okay, so battery switch. Those are these 2 down here. Those are on, so we can tick that off. Generator switches. It says for them to be on, but I don't know why you'd have the gens on right now. We'll turn them on. I was doing it after starting engines, but there you go. Gen switch is on. And then APU knob. So we do need to start the APU, so let's jump back here. That's control 5. That's a default view, control 5. So you can see here's the APU here. Switch it to on and then to start. And then this is a custom view I made. And that's Alt-2 for me. And you can see the APU starting to spin up right here, right? So APU knob start, tick the item, and then see stabilizes 98 to 100%. All right, so we need to wait until it stabilizes before we can do anything else. All right, but we can take a look at what we got going. So the APU gen switch is going to be over here. The APU bleed is going to be back here, which is it's a little hard to see. There's the APU bleed. It's on normal. So blue lights are good, red lights are bad, or orange lights, whatever color you want to call that, amber, and so on. We're at 100% on the APU, which means we can turn off the external power now, right? But APU bleed is on, APU gen right here, turn that on, then turn off your external power, you're good to go. So we're stabilized, APU bleed is normal, APU gen switch is on, external power is off, and then your battery amps, that's going to be right down here. It says 0 or charging. Well, I'm assuming they're charging because they're not at 0, so we're going to tick that off as well. And then we can go to the starting engines with the APU page. We're not quite ready for that. What I want to do is I want to hop outside the aircraft here really quick. Oh, look at it. Just, you can't get over the graphics, though. I got to be honest. You can't get over the graphics. It's just amazing. We're going to be entering the runway up there. So we're not supposed to taxi across this, so we'll do a pushback for the sake of doing it, but I can't get them to turn when I do the pushback. And the nose wheel steering on this aircraft, I don't know if it's a glitch, if it's the way it really is, or if it's me, but it does not turn real tight very well, even when I'm going super slow. So just something to keep in mind. I did want to show you guys, if you look here, you can see that it says Captain Mac right there. So you can change your tail number on any aircraft as far as I know, which is pretty cool. I like that. That's a neat little feature. I'll probably make it a point to put Captain Mac on all my aircraft in the future. But I like that. So the aircraft is absolutely beautiful. And then Sedona is one of the airports that they did up, right? They put the extra time and effort into it. And as we taxi along, you'll see it's very well detailed. One of the things that I like that they did a great job with in this sim, I did so much bashing on it last time, I got to do some goodies, right? So you see how the grass and everything looks really flat right now, and I don't know if we can get close enough here. Yeah, we can. So as we get a little closer, notice how there's suddenly some texture to the grass, and the closer you get to it, the more texture you get. All right, and that's a fantastic feature that really saves on frame rates overall. So I don't get amazing frame rates, which is kind of strange on this thing, considering why is he driving on the taxiway? Considering the system that I'm running, and I need to update my default stuff in there so that you can see my new system stats. But anyway, it looks absolutely beautiful, and even when it's running a little choppy, it's still running relatively smooth, which is a feature I liked out of X-Plane. So all in all, there are a lot of positives about this sim, and this airplane is not too shabby at all. Now, let's talk about pushback here real quick. I'm going to hit left shift P. That's going to move him up. Okay. Now again, I don't know what's going on with my ground options on ATC. You saw that it popped up, and then when I went to click on it, it just went away. So now I don't recall if he's going to automatically start pushing or not. One of the problems I've run into is the active pause feature. If I hit right shift P, okay, left shift P again, he'll stop for a second because I don't want to push back yet. See, he's just going to pull away though, right? But if I hit right shift P, I think that's the active pause. I don't know. Let's see. I just tried hitting left shift P again. Where's he going? He's done. He's like, that's it, we're done. I don't know what's going on. So I've been having a hard time with the pushback a little bit. I'm sure it's me. In this instance, I'm sure it's me. Let's try this one more time. Left shift P. Let's see if he'll pull up there. Okay, he's gonna pull up. Let's hop in the aircraft real quick. And let's take the parking brake off. Now he doesn't say anything to me, so if he said something I could take it off, you know, when he says to. But and then let's go back outside real quick because I want to watch the pushback. The startup is super fast and super easy. I just want to make sure he doesn't push us back too far. Okay, so active pause is on. Watch. See, as soon as I hit P again. See, that's what I don't like about active pause, because you don't know it's paused unless you hit it intentionally, which is frustrating. So left shift and P is what I'm using for pushback. I'm going to push back just a little bit further right there. All right, that's good. I like that. And you can see there's a little choppiness in there. I don't really care for it, but there you have it. So park and brake set. Pushback is complete. I'll be back momentarily. We'll take care of starting the engines. We'll get this bird in the air. Okay, I promise we're about to do engine start here. Just real quick, let's make sure our flight directors are on both sides. And then we need to set a couple of things here. So we're going to, on this guy, it's a little tricky. There's actually two different spots, 1 and 2. And the only way you know is the tooltip switching. You got to switch this to manual unless you want the FMC controlling the speed, which I do not. Alright, if you scroll the mouse wheel while you're here, it will switch to Mach. So just keep that in mind. It's going to go in increments of 10 if you scroll the mouse wheel. Alright, this is something I noticed in the 787 as well. Alright, and then increments of 1 if you click it, left click it. Alright, so if you want increments of 1, you need to left click. Our altitude, I didn't even look. What's our altitude for this flight? 310. So let's take this all the way up to 310. You can see it right down here coming up. All right. And so with this one, if you left click, it goes in 100-foot increments, and if you scroll, it goes in 1,000-foot increments. Right. So there's 310 right there. So we got 250 set, 310. I haven't really used the VNAV function because the freeze that I had when we were doing the hurricane hunting was when I was trying to adjust the altitudes on the flight plan in here. That's when it happened. So I'm probably not going to do that on this flight. Now, let's listen to the weather one more time. I want to hear the altimeter setting.
Weather observation 1400 Zulu. Wind 214 at 5. Visibility tree. Sky condition. Few clouds at 1,100 feet. Few clouds at 4,000 feet. Few clouds at 11,800 feet. Temperature 20 C dew point. 10 C altimeter 29902.
Yeah, see? Why is the altimeter 29902? That doesn't make any sense to me. Shouldn't it, I mean, don't we have live weather on? Where is that at? General? No, I don't think you can change it while you're in sim. That's alright. It is what it is. Okay, let's take care of starting the engines here. It's the simplest process on the planet, really. It really is. So I just got to get to a view that is most beneficial for us. Okay, so if you pull up the checklist, it'll walk you through it. All right. Power levers to idle, which they are, so we can check that one off. And then set the right engine's run stop button to run. That's actually a guarded cover right here. So you left click, okay, and then click it, and that puts it to run. And then you got to left click the guard to close it. Once you've done that, you push this button right here. All right. And then it's monitor, right? So let's tick those off. Now watch, when you get the monitor, it tells you wait for stabilized idle and abort start if no ITT rise within 20 seconds. It's been close to 20 seconds. The ITT should start coming up here shortly. All right, or no oil pressure by 30%, and you can see the ITT is still sitting at 6. There it goes. All right, no oil pressure by 30% N2. Okay, here's the oil pressure. It's coming up already, so we're good on that. And then it tells you what happens if those conditions aren't met. So we'll tick that off. Let that stabilize. So N1 is going to stabilize. I think it's around 15 or 16 at this altitude, not positive. Again, I'm no expert of this aircraft. I don't know how accurate it is to the real life aircraft. No idea. So just bear with me on it. So yeah, it looks like it's going to stabilize a little bit higher, and that has to do with the altitude. So let's zoom back out, and then the process is exactly the same for the other side. So we're going to left click the guard, click it to run, close it, hit the starter, and then we're going to zoom in and we're going to monitor. And while we're waiting, we can tick off the next few items, and that brings us to monitor. And then of course it's the same conditions, and it doesn't take long, so I'm not going to break away quite yet. We're just going to go ahead and let this engine start up. Once it does, we're going to go ahead and shut off. Did we put the parking brake on? Yes, we did. For some reason I felt like the aircraft was moving there. Maybe it was just my view. Sometimes that view moves a little fast. There's the ITT coming up now. The oil pressure was already coming up before 30%. Coughing in your face. There's our, that's for our ailerons. I was just playing around with them there. Okay, let's go ahead and tick that one off, and that's it. That's all we have for checklists. All right, I do want to check, make sure my yep, that's full right or full left, all the way up. They're very jumpy. They're not. The control scheme is not great in my opinion. There's the rudders over there, and we're good to go on that. Okay, so let's get the APU off here. So first thing we want to do is turn off the APU gen. Our gens were already on here, so we're good on that. That's Control 7. Hit Control 5 to come back here. Turn the APU off. And then for me, Alt 1 puts me back at the default view that I want. And that means we are ready for taxi. I do want to get in the first setting of flaps. Actually, I'm going to do 2 settings of flaps for this departure. And then with my lights, there's another glitch here. The landing lights don't turn off. They're always on. So taxi lights, recognition lights. And let's move over here a little bit. And then wing inspection, anti-collision, tail flood you don't really need on. And then you got your internal lights, and then we want to arm the ELT. That's not the ELT, that's the emergency lights. What am I talking about? We want to arm the emergency lights. See, I hit the Alt 1 twice to get it to that view, which is kind of strange to me. Goodness. Okay, on departure, we are going to... Oh, there is an auto throttle in this. It's actually down here. You have to click right here. And when you left click that, it'll arm it, and then it'll take over. It's kind of weird, kind of awkward. If you were in the real aircraft, it'd be really simple, right? What is going on over here? Control 8. ELT... That's on. That's armed. Why is it blinking? It shouldn't be blinking, right? Arm. I put it to on. That's why. Okay, it's not blinking anymore. It's blinking if I go there. That puts it on. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird. Okay, it's the light's off now. I don't know. That's weird. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. Okay, that takes care of everything for our before taxi checklist. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so we're going to need to announce our taxi on CTAF. Now, I've noticed a couple of strange things here. Let me bring this window over here for you. I have this on my other screen. If I click on this, wow. When I click on things, so we're going to take runway 21. So if I click announce taxi while this is on the other screen, my controls, look, right now I'm turning my yoke. See how my yoke's not turning? Right? Now watch. I move this here, and my yoke turns. All right. So it's this weird little thing that if I click the options over here, it freezes, or when I'm on this period, it freezes up my yoke. I haven't clicked anything, I'm on it, it freezes my yoke. I come over here, my yoke's not frozen. But if I choose my options by using the number, excuse me, then my yoke keeps going. So I can't have my mouse on this and operate my controls, which is a little strange. So I need to make it a habit to click over here, and then I don't even have to click on this side. Like right now I'm on the ATC window, I haven't clicked and it works. It's kind of strange. So we're going to announce the taxi here.
Kilo Sierra Echo traffic Millennium 002 is taxiing to runway 21.
It's a little quiet, isn't it? Track IR coming on a little jump here. There we go. And let's make sure our parking brake is off. And let's start taxiing out, shall we? It's not a very long taxi. Now this, I don't know what you call the feature on this screen that makes it visible, makes the ground around you visible. Is the airplane gonna move? Come on. You gotta give it a little extra thrust to get it going. I think active pause is on again. I think it automatically went to active pause. Let's see. No. Okay. Why is it not moving here? Parking brake is off. There we go. It takes a lot to get it going, doesn't it? That's one thing about cockpit tooltips that drives me nuts. See, there's a little choppiness in there. I'm not sure what that's all about. I don't think it should be choppy. It's not a long taxi. See, I've got full rudder in right now and left toe brake. It does not turn very well. And then, now here's one thing I really like, other than the choppiness, which I don't know what the heck is going on. I wasn't doing this earlier. This must have to do with other things running on my system. Okay, one thing I really like here is the terrain. We're going uphill right now. And so I need more thrust to get the aircraft moving, and we are... How many costs is that, guys? Anybody keeping track? Now, center line of the aircraft is going to be center on here, which you can see is just a little right of the center of our view, which is more realistic. A little weird to deal with, but you may recall from my, what do you call it? Simbit World, A Pilot's Life series, flying the CRJ and that on the right side of the aircraft, I have a hard time with that. So it's going to cause me a few issues here as well. Notice the aircraft's slowing even though I haven't reduced thrust. The choppiness is driving me nuts. I genuinely think that I know what's causing it, and it's a bummer. I think that it's Sim Toolkit Pro. Not that Sim Toolkit Pro is a problem, but that for whatever reason, I'm going to turn it off. Let's see what happens. I'll bet the choppiness goes away. Sim Toolkit Pro is not resource heavy at all. See how we're coming to a stop? I'm bringing in more and more throttle here because we're going up a little hill. But notice most of that choppiness seems to have gone away. I don't know why. You know what I think it is, though? I think it's the Sim Connect thing or something. I don't know. I have no clue what it is, but it certainly seems a lot smoother now, which for me is a bit of a frustration because I know Sim Toolkit Pro is not resource heavy. It's really not. Plus, I've got a really good system anyway. All right, throttles to 0 here. And we need a little more thrust to get around the corner. We know our landing lights are already on, which again, a little frustrating that those stay on all the time, but now the ground friction doesn't seem too bad on this. I don't know if it's because we're going uphill or because we're so heavy or what, but it takes a lot of thrust to get this thing moving. Alright, let's bring her a nice easy stop right here real quick. Okay, now before takeoff checklist, trim is set, flaps are set. There are V speeds on this thing. I'm turn track IR off for a second. Now here's the thing with track IR. If I'm looking over here and I turn it off, that's where it stops. So just keep that in mind if you're using track IR. Let's jump down here real quick. That's the comms. Let's go to home. I know I saw it on here. There we go. So VR 120. That's all it's telling me, huh? Well, via approach, but not sure where it got the speeds from. I can adjust them, but I don't. Wow, look at that. That's there's clearly an error there. I don't think VR is going to be 120, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a little higher than that. So I just wanted to show you guys, though, that there is something in there, so something to keep in mind. Anyway, flaps are set. What else? I think that's about the gist of it. We need to announce our departure here. North is up on this. That's why it looks like we're sideways like that. We get the track IR back on. A little jump. There we go. And it's a straight out departure pretty much for us.
Kilo Sierra Echo Zulu traffic Millennium 002
Bring in the thrust.
taking off runway 21 departing straight out.
And then you almost have to back it off, right? It just takes a lot to get it moving. Now, I don't know if that's a ground friction issue. We're going to need some extra runway, just so you know. So let's turn it nice and tight here. A little extra thrust. And then we'll swing it back nice and tight. You see how it stuttered there? It's because I moved the mouse off the screen. Okay. Using toe brakes and full rudder. See, it just doesn't turn real tight. Not sure if that's the aircraft or if there's a setting I need to change specific to this aircraft or what. But we need all the runway we can get, so we're going to stop here. And bring the throttles to about 50%. Release brakes and full throttle. And this thing has power to burn, I can promise you that. Now, it's also really jumpy because it's moving the nose wheel when I move the rudders instead of the rudder itself. So, again, not sure if there's a setting I need to change or what. See how jumpy it is? Okay, it's got 120 as our rotate. Let's give it a shot. Oh, it rotated. Ah, see that? Little nose up trim there. Let's get the gear coming up. Take out the first setting of flaps. There we go. Flaps all the way up now. And yeah, we're just kind of following our flight director. We can back those throttles way off now, believe it or not. Again, this thing has power to a burn. Okay, so a little nose down trim there. We don't want to climb. We're already climbing super fast, so there we go. Looking pretty good. A little more thrust coming in. Just kind of messing with it right now. Now I'm going to see if this. I'm going to fly it by hand here and see if this flight director actually directs me anywhere. You can see we're coming up to Fenton here. All right, and it doesn't look like the flight director's telling me anything. Yeah, flight director's not telling me, look, we just bypassed that waypoint. Now watch, go over here, I forgot about this, go over here and you have to change your nav source to FMS and then hit nav. So let's hit nav, autopilot, and then we're going to do vertical speed. Alright, now, vertical speed, look, see it's nosediving right now, right? Okay, let's turn the auto throttles on real quick. There we go. Auto throttle's on. Whew. Okay, so your vertical speed indicator is right here. We're at 2,000 feet per minute, right? So watch, if I adjust this that way, see that's 1,400. There we go. I want to climb at 2,000 feet per minute. We're going to stay at 250 knots for the moment. Now, will it pick up the nav course? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see. See, the flight director's on now. Maybe you have to turn nav on. Oh. Come on, where's it at? It's not navigating. Oh, you're being a bugger, aren't you? Oh, it's turning. It's just turning really, really slow. Okay, so now it changed direct to Hemet, and it's actually going to intercept the course between Hemet and the next waypoint. So if you come down here to your flight plan, all right, and then let's go up. So it's going from Hemet to Zavis right now. See that? Boy, that goes really far. Hemet to Zavis. So it's turning to intercept this track here, and I like that. So, okay, so we got the landing gear up, we got the flaps up, the autopilot is set. Landing lights won't come off, taxi lights can go off. Notice how that does internal lights too, that's interesting. Panel lights do work, they're pretty nice. And that's it, that takes care of our after takeoff checklist, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, that's right, we're still going to do some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, as you can see we're climbing up to flight level 310 right now. We were already at 310, but ATC told us to descend to 210. I have no idea why. But on the IFR flight plan it decided I had to be at 210. So I descended to 210. It's probably something in the way I did the flight planning in the default flight planner. But anyway, I descended to 210. It handed me off to Denver Center, and I was going to request a climb to 310 from Denver Center. And Denver Center wanted me to descend to 14,000. Like, you're out of your freaking mind. 14,000 feet. That's not going to cut it when our airfield is at 9,000 feet and we start our approach at 12,000 feet. That's not going to work, especially because we're still a couple hundred nautical miles out. So I had to cancel the IFR flight plan. That's fine. We'll get used to the ATC here eventually. So we're climbing back up to 310. We're going to have to descend pretty soon. Here's the skinny. So for the descent, let me jump down here first. We need to be at Hodlow. Now I had to put this in because the approaches weren't in there. Now we're going to do the approach brief in a second. So I had to put in Hodlow. We need to be at 12,000 feet at Hodlow. Now I can't seem to get VNAV to function properly, because if I turn VNAV on right now, it's probably going to want to go down to this altitude. I don't know. I'm not messing with it. We're going to do it on our own. So I calculated 57 nautical miles from Hodlow's when we need to start our descent. Well, this gives us the distance between waypoints, but it doesn't tell us where we're at. The only thing we have that tells us where we're at is this right here. We're 111 nautical miles from DVC. Right, so it's just a little bit of math, right? So if I need to be at 12,000 at Hodlow, I have to start my descent 57 nautical miles out. Well, 5 plus 35 is 40. That means I need an additional 17 nautical miles, right? So when I'm 17 nautical miles from DVC, that's when I'm going to start my descent. I'm going to descend at 2,000 feet per minute. I think that's pretty straightforward and makes sense to you guys, right? So that's how we're going to be doing it for this one. Now, whether or not that's going to change for future flights, I don't know yet. We'll find out. All right, so let's hop back up here real quick, and let's take a look at our approach briefing as it settles into 31,000 feet here. So I did pop SimToolkit Pro back up. Hopefully we don't get any choppiness on the way in. If I have to, I will turn it off. But I really don't like that. So I will actually, if that continues to be an issue, I'll talk with the developer and see if he knows anything about it, and then we'll go from there. Or I'll check. In fact, I'll check their trouble ticket or whatever section they have on Discord. They're really fantastic about looking after folks. So not too concerned about it. Real quick here, I gotta adjust my chair because it's driving me a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It just doesn't want to do what I want it to do here. I need a new chair. Somebody said something about needing to get a new microphone. But anyway, okay, here we are. Flying into Telluride, one of the craziest approaches on the planet. I don't remember if this is one of the well done up airports or not. Not really going to matter. You can see ETL is a holding point there. Let's just go through this like a normal brief. So the AWOS is on 18.325. I checked the weather. It's supposed to be 140 at 4 knots. So runway 9, localizer runway 9 is going to be our approach. There is no ILS, just a localizer or a GPS RNAV approach. Denver Center on 25.35. We're actually on them with them right now on 27.550. Denver Radio on 22.15, Telluride Regional Unicom, CTAF 123.0. The localizer frequency is 109.3 with a final approach course of 093 degrees. It's not a glide slope intercept, but your continuous descent point is supposed to begin at Zabgu at 11,500 feet, which is only 2,463 feet above the ground. The callouts are so quiet on all the aircraft in here. I don't know what it is. I've got all the volumes turned all the way up, but they're really quiet. So we're gonna have to really try and listen, but it's gonna be mostly just doing it old school visual, no callouts. Minimum decision altitude is 11,340 feet MSL, or 2,303 feet above the ground. All right, so that's just past Zabgu, Zabgu, just past that. Visibility should be fine, so I'm not too worried about it. Airport elevation is 9,070 feet, but our touchdown zone elevation, now this actually matters in this sim, it's 9,037 feet. If it's accurate, then we're going to be touching down 33 feet lower than the airport elevation, right? So now, that's touchdown zone elevation, so that's within the first 1,000 feet of the highest point within the first 1,000 feet of the runway. Missed approach, we're going to climb to 11,800 feet, and then a climbing right turn to 13,500 feet inbound on the ETL VOR 104 degree radial. So that's this little turn right here back to ETL, and then you're going to hold at ETL VOR. DME is required. Circling is not authorized at night. Visual glide slope indicator and descent angles are not coincident. That means that our PAPI lights and our angle on here are not going to be exactly the same. If we're spot on our numbers here, the PAPI lights might look a little different. But as soon as we can see them, that's what we're going to use. But it tells you right here, visual glide slope indicator angle is 3.5 degrees. And then touchdown TCH, what was that again? I don't know, it's 46 feet, I can't remember. It has something to do with the touchdown though. I can't remember, sorry. Cold temperature altitude correction required at or below 18 degrees Celsius. That's not going to be an issue for us. And then at night, pilot controlled lighting is on 123.0. I don't know if that's a function that actually works in here or not. But you can see we're going to come in from ETL to Hodlow, 12,000 feet at Hodlow, then down to 11.5 at Zabgu, and then from there it's straight on in, and we should hopefully from Zabgu, because it's not that far out, it's 5.3 nautical miles, 6.3, we should come on. We should have visual on the PAPI lights. This TCH is driving me nuts right now. It really is, because I looked that up recently, and for some stupid reason I can't remember what it means. And so right now I'm literally going to look this up. TCH on a approach plate. I don't know why I can't remember it right now. It drives me nuts. The theoretical height above the runway threshold crossing height. That's what it is. TCH, threshold crossing height. So you should be about 46 feet when you cross the threshold if you continue on this glide slope. Makes sense? It does now. Runway end lights and then PAPI lights should be on the left-hand side. And there's our missed approach. So that's your approach. And we are... Gotta jump back on here. 70 miles out, so we'll be descending here pretty soon, and then I will see you guys when we're getting closer to the approach. Alrighty folks, you can see we're on our descent here on our way to ETL. We're about 30 nautical miles out. I decided to come on a little early. I may do a little fast forward or something here just to speed things up, but here's the thing. I cannot seem to get the frequency to change in here. I went ahead and I went with 149 as our V approach. It's a short runway, so we're going to be coming in screaming. Actually, 149 is probably too fast. Let's go with 135. That's what I'm going to try. 135. The little star, I'm assuming, is because that's not what the aircraft chose. But going in here on the radios, I changed our frequency to 109.3, but I cannot figure out how to swap them. It says if you zoom in down here, it says for nav 1 frequency, hold to swap. If I hold there, it doesn't do anything, and if I hold here, all it does is bring me into this when I let go. So not really sure. Like I'm holding right now, and it's not doing anything. So I don't know what it means. Yeah. I can't push on this as a button. I would assume it was this, because this changes it, see? So I would assume it was this or this. This changes that one, but it only goes one direction, which is interesting. So let's put it back to 3-0. There we go. Yeah, like you see it's turning right now, but it doesn't do anything. Yeah, I don't know. Pushing this brings up this guy here. This actually lets you pan the map, just so you know. See the little arrow blinking on there right now? So I can actually move the map around using this, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so I can't get the frequency to swap. Not sure what that's all about. There's other traffic in the area, which is interesting because that wasn't working when I was flying with my friend Joe. Anyway, it is what it is. We've taken care of our briefing now. It's telling me that the weather's different. We're just going to go with what we got here. We're trying to get to 12,000 by the time we get to Hodlow. We may get there a little early at this rate. We'll see. We're on vertical speed mode, so we can adjust that as necessary. Let's announce our position real quick.
Kilo Tango Echo X-ray traffic Millennium 002 tree 2 miles west flight level 190 inbound to
there we go. Millennium 002 was my choice of call sign because we fly for Millennium Aviation Company, right? 29902 is the altimeter here as well. Now I'm going to tell you, I have never landed at this airfield. Ever. Not in any sim at all. I do not recall ever landing here. So this is going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and let's zoom that down a little bit more there. There we go. So yeah, not being... I'm assuming if I switch this to nav, then I can swap those nav radios perhaps, but I don't want to do that while I'm getting set up for a very, very difficult approach, not knowing what the outcome will be. So what do we got on here? Flight plan, procedure. Oh, this is just for navigating with this thing. Oh, wait a minute. Com nav. Let's see. Inoperable. Of course it is. Okay, never mind then. Yeah. So, I'm going to shut up for a couple minutes, but I'm going to just let it fly and probably speed it up, and then we'll see you back on here shortly. Right, guys, you can see we're almost to hard low here. Not sure, well, because I sped it up or I just cut it out. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. It keeps giving me a landing gear warning every time the throttles go to 0, which is a little frustrating. But it is what it is. So we're coming up to hard low here. Let me get the proper view. That is not a proper view. There we go. Tracker coming on, a little jump. There we go. All right, so we're trying to slow down to 200 knots right now. We actually need to get a good bit slower than that. So let's bring it down a little more. Bring it down to 180. Hear the landing gear warning. Just put the spoilers out, slow her down quick. Trying to get into flap range here. You can see our angle of attack's getting really high. There we go. Settling in nicely. Here comes hard low. Then it's going to be down to 11.5. So I just put it at 11. We're probably going to just have to take control of the aircraft here shortly. Almost to hard low. We're a little high here. And let's turn the auto throttles off. I don't like it anymore. No airfield in sight at the moment. Throttle's coming back. And there's Hodlow. We just crossed Hodlow. We're on our way to Zabgu down to 11.5. So let's go altitude hold right there because it went too far. See that? Ooh, see it's trying to climb right now. Going back up to 11.4. That's where we need to be at Zabgu is 11.5 really, but I'll live with 11.4. We're going way too fast though. This thing has an amazing amount of power. Bring that speed way back. So I just got the throttles at idle right now. And almost back to 11.4. Some throttle coming in. We don't want to get too slow. We're obviously very nose high. You can see the angle of attack is very high. Bring in the next setting of flaps here. Yeah, shut up with the landing gear. Okay, landing gear coming down. There you go. We're about to cross Zabgu here. And we'll start our descent there. So let's take the autopilot off. And as we cross Zabgu, we'll start our descent. You can see the runway just ahead here, believe it or not. Okay, bringing those throttles back quite a bit more here. We're crossing Zabgu now. And it's trying to climb on us still. So we're ready to start our descent. And you can see here's the runway right on this plateau here. And this thing is very twitchy. The controls are just so sensitive. There we go. Okay, so we're on a continuous descent here, but it doesn't need to be quite so fast. Next setting of flaps coming in. Watch out, your nose is going to climb on you when you put those flaps out there. Come on, 135, that's our V approach speed there. There we go. Now we got a little slow, just a little. There we go, not too bad. We're a little low, I think. Yeah, we're definitely low, because we're coming down at, you know, 1,200 feet per minute or whatever. We're way too low right now. We need to level off a little bit. It's just, it's bouncing all over the place constantly. Alright, back the throttles off just a little. Let that descent start to come in. Man, that runway is like, it's like curved. Is that runway curved? No, that's got to be from the terrain. Okay. Alright, now we're pretty good. We got full flaps, right? Yep. Okay. Let's get her coming down a little now. Yeah, it just kind of bounces all over the place. We're too slow. Way too slow. Come on. Way too slow. There we go. There we go. That's better. Now we're too fast. Ah, come on. See, that's one of the things I dislike is the... get down. The frickin' the constant bouncing around. We're too high, but I think we're alright. We'll get her in there. There we go. It just like the aircraft never settles.
500.
Settle. See? Settle! Come on! That was a harsh landing. Good Lord. Full reverse. Bring in the brakes. Whoa! Jeez Louise. That was ugly. That was freaking ugly. I was so unstable on approach. And then it just floated. So... here's my frustration here, guys, and this is we'll call this a mini rant, if you will, because I'm not angry, but I am frustrated. The airplane never stops bouncing around. Okay, it is possible to have an aircraft stabilized. It really is. Look at this. You got to go up this hill up here. I've never landed here before. Really disappointed with that landing. I really am. I forgot to do my ATC. I was too focused. But you see the choppiness is back here. I don't like that. I really don't. I don't know what's going on with that. We need more thrust to get up the hill. Very, very, very disappointed with that landing. Because the aircraft, I just couldn't get it to stabilize. It's just bouncing all over. And I know I probably should have done a missed approach. This, I think they did do up this airport. I could have done a go around, and I didn't. I know. But... seriously, I had the aircraft under good control, and then it just starts hopping and bouncing all over the frickin' place. It's ridiculous. Aircraft don't do that. Sometimes when you have a lot of turbulence, they bounce around constantly. But seriously, in the real world, the aircraft doesn't just constantly bounce around just because it's in the air. It doesn't do that. And the larger the aircraft, the less it bounces around. I have no idea where to park here. I guess we'll just flip around right in front here. I don't know if that's the terminal and the firehouse or what. Anyway, definitely, was he coming out for me? Probably. Oh, really? Really? Wow, I see AI hasn't changed any. Good Lord. Track hour coming off. A little jump. There we go. All right. Not pleased with the landing at all. Like, that was a terrible landing. Sorry, coughing in your face some more. Very terrible landing. Minus almost 400 feet per minute, because it got to the point where I had to put it on the ground. I couldn't get the aircraft to stabilize. I was fine, I was stable, and then all of a sudden it's just dropping at 1,500 feet per minute. So I bring in a bunch of throttle, and then it's bouncing all over the place. I don't know how much of that's realistic. If you're a real pilot and you've ever actually flown this aircraft into Telluride, please let me know. I'd be interested to know whether or not it's that bumpy coming in. I'm sure it's bumpy coming in. I don't know, it just seems to me like it's over-exaggerated in this sim. It bumps it so much that you feel like you have to make a control input. And when you're constantly making control inputs, you're behind the aircraft the whole frickin' time. And the idea is to be ahead of the aircraft. And so it makes it really difficult, especially on a tough approach. It's a short runway. It's very high altitude. I should have kept my approach speed a little higher than I did. I think 135 was fine, but then all of a sudden, like just like out of the blue, it just floated so bad. All I was doing, I had cut throttles. I didn't even pull back to flare. Or maybe I did. Maybe I pulled harder than I thought. I don't know. But it floated so bad. And then, I don't know if you heard it, but when I tried to recover, it stalled about probably 10 feet above the runway, which caused it to really drop out quick. So again, all in all, absolutely terrible landing. That was just absolutely atrocious. Yeah, not really pleased with that, but it is what it is. Let's shut down the engine. So it should be stop. And there's the engine spooling down. Stop. There's the engine spooling down. We didn't turn taxi lights on. We didn't do anything right. I did everything wrong. I did everything absolutely wrong on the final part of this flight. Does our checklist ever change? No. No, it never gives us other options. That's unfortunate. But we've got the engine shut down. The APU is running. I have no idea how to open the doors. Because I'm not getting ground options on my ATC. You can see right here, no ground options on ATC, so I'm not really sure what the deal is there. But it is what it is. Again, a really, really rough landing, but there's a flip side to that. You don't want to go around here if you don't have to. This is a dangerous airport here. So I'm glad we got it on the ground. We didn't break anything. I mean, 400 feet per minute's a little rough. But it's not going to break the aircraft. So not my best landing, but certainly not my worst landing. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I know that I am not parked in a proper spot. I have no idea where to go on this airfield. No idea at all. This is a brand new airfield to me, but it does look like they did a pretty nice job on it, so I can appreciate that. Zoom out a little bit. You can see it's pretty well detailed. I think this was one of the detailed airports. I don't remember. So keep in mind, folks, that the next flight is going to be departing from this airfield. All right, so what I would like from you guys, we did have a tailwind. Look at that sock. That's part of the reason we had such a hard time coming in. So that's on me. Yeah, but it is what it is. Anyway, so our next flight is going to depart from Telluride and go to where? You guys tell me. Give me a location that's different, that's difficult, that we probably don't see a lot of aircraft go to, but that this citation can get into, and it can handle pretty short runways. Keep that in mind, and don't be afraid to give me some good suggestions. Whichever suggestion looks the best to me, that's going to be the next flight. So the sooner you get your suggestions in, the sooner we can get the next flight done, because I can't record it until I get options from you guys. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. We're at 8,600. I'd love to get to 10,000 by the end of the year and do a giveaway of some sort, maybe even a giveaway of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I know a lot of you are waiting until there's some improvements made, so maybe we'll do a giveaway of that. I don't know yet. We got to get close to 10,000 before I start actually considering what the giveaways will be. Is that a shadow on there? Is it just me, or does it look like the airplane's leaning? From that view, it looked like it was leaning. Anyway, again, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button, please, and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. That lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that you like what we're doing here. And if you didn't like it, you can give it a thumbs down, but please give some kind yet constructive criticism in the comments. A few of you have found out recently that I have no problem answering back. If your comment's really nasty, I'll just delete it. But I don't have a problem debating points with you guys. In fact, one of my subscribers, new subscriber, by the way, had said he didn't really care for my rants on the first video and that he wouldn't be subscribing to my channel. And I ended up having a little debate with him in the forum section. Or not the forums, but in the comments section. It was a fair debate. And in the end, we actually came to agreement, and he is now a subscriber to the channel. So kudos to you. I appreciate you joining the channel, and I do always appreciate the feedback, guys. Just try to keep it, like I said, kind yet constructive, so that we can go somewhere with it. If you're just going to say something nasty, then it's just pointless to even bother. And I think that's about it. Yep, that's it. That's all, and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all. Have an absolutely wonderful day.